Right, welcome to the YouTube. So just going to basically document my prep, and that's what the series is really just going to be about. So today is day 5 of prep. So we started on Monday. We are 6 pounds down. But yeah, so this is pretty much the first week. Really the only changes from off season to prep now is just a change of calories. And it might seem a lot, it's about a 1,000 calorie drop, but I'm still eating 3,900 calories. So it's a decent amount. It's a lot still. So obviously very early days, but we started. We're just going to get a pre-in, get ready to train legs. Should be with 2 clients. Only one of them's here. But we're training legs. Saturday leg session, 2 pumps. Just saying to Joe that I've not been having any monsters and he's had one, so I'm going to have one. First one of prep. I feel like it's now needed. I'm going to mix it with the pump. So, sort of time frame of when show's going to be, we're looking around sort of like May, June time. In previous preps, I've sort of planned the amount of time from when I'm starting to the show and just give myself that time rather than think about how long I actually need to get in condition for being on stage. So we're sort of going to get 5 or 6 weeks out and then decide, right, okay, what shows we're going to go for. We have an idea, but we're just going to see where the physique's at and how long it's going to take to get into where we need to be. But very much what I want to go through this series as well is like managing my own business, having a family life and prepping at the same time. I just want to show the struggles, but how we get over them and the journey throughout. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I feel like I'm in a really good headspace going into this prep. Compared to, I know everyone can say that, but like other preps, there's always been something at the start which has made it maybe not a smooth transition to it. Whereas I feel like the time away, the length of the off season, I feel like I'm just like ready to start now. It's the heaviest I've been, but it's the best sort of shape at this weight I've been. So I feel really good with this. I've had a good 13 months with Tom, my coach. So we've got a good sort of understanding of each other. So yeah, excited to sort of just get into this really. It hasn't felt like prep started, it's like, oh, it's a big change and I'm having to struggle to get up. It just feels like I was ready and everything's been really smooth. So yeah, it's been really, really good. So yeah, just genuinely really excited. Nothing changes, training's the same. Just keep pushing and yeah, let's go. So instead with Sol, we're doing legs. So session today is a little bit more posterior focus, my other leg day, a bit more quads. Hamstrings and glutes is something that I want to bring up more, and that's sort of the focus. It has been a big focus for the off season, so a bit more of a bias towards hamstrings and glutes, but we are still training quads today. Start off with a seated ham. Right, just hit one more, a little bit closer to your top set, just to get a feel, but just like 4 or 5 reps, okay? But like, treat it like...
Too heavy, too...
Yeah, so literally just what's your heavy working set going to be? What have you been?
60.
60, yeah? So just do like maybe, well, you're at 50 there. Have you just done 50?
Wait, more,
So if you just do, yeah, just do a couple of, just 4 or 5 at 50, treat it like your working set now. Good. Nice, that's it. Make sure you're pinning that as tight as you can, so you ensure that contraction. That's it, good. Well done. I want you to think about when you do like your working sets, although towards the end you get fatigue, like make sure, have a breather, you're doing your last rep looks the same as the first rep, or as close as you can to that, so there's still an element of control. That's not your working weight though, is it? Have a breather, that's it, fine. Just, I always like to do one like a little bit closer to like the working set, so it's not like a big jump from that wall set.
like gas by the time you get...
Well, no, so like say if I was going to do the stack, for example, I wouldn't be spending a lot of time here. I'd be like slowly increasing it, but then I'd want to do one that's like a little bit close to the top set because I don't like the feel of jumping from say like 50 to like a 90 because the jump's so big. So so I like to feel like I'm working into that set.
I mean, if you do like 3 warm-ups, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so with the warm-ups, you should never be pushing it. It's like you should like be doing the repetitions but not cause any fatigue. So like if you are doing like just then you was probably going to get fatigued, I'd be stopping like 5 or 6 and then just stop there. It's just to feel that weight between that top set. So like that then, if I did any more, I would have started to work into like a bit of fatigue, so I'd just stop there. But it's just feeling that weight between that to working set. Right, working set, yeah. Good, nice. 1, 2, nice. That's it. Awesome. Keep them reps the same throughout. Well done. Lovely. Keep pushing the hips down. That's it. 8. Nice. 9. Good. Brilliant. One more. Well done. Nice. Good. You know, like with your sessions, obviously you got hamstrings in both, haven't you? Well, the reason why I got, like, say 4 sets on this, for example, I'm only going to do 3, but you got 4, because rather than when before you've had like quads and hamstrings, you've done your quads, and you've been probably too tired to hit your hamstrings properly. So that's why, like, we spread it over 2, which got a bit more volume, like 1 exercise or 2 exercises, a bit earlier in the workout. Yeah, there's not a lot in this, but obviously, like you just did then, though, like one set you feel like hamstrings are blowing up already, haven't they? So like you don't need a lot, it's just quality over quantity with it. Try imagine that gap there, you're shoving your hips right into it, so like everything's locked in against that pad. Well, I think you can hit another set on the same, just lock in, and when you start struggling I'll give you a few more out, but it's like, you know, when you do the tricep extension on a pad or a bicep curl, you're always locked in against the pad. You never want to curl and bring it off, you want to keep it flat against it, so hips right, that gap, imagine you pushing your ass through that, okay? Right, give yourself 30 seconds, we get this set. So you get that pad as tight as you can. That's it. I'll give you a little push that, so you just drive yourself in, hips into that seat. Let's go, good. That's it, good. Lovely. That's it. Force yourself into that seat. Good.
You bummed out.
That's it, pushing it down, that's it, well done. Nice. Come on. Right, you take the stretch, I'll make sure you come out. Let's get 4 reps in. Squeeze. Good. Control it. That's it. Drag, squeeze. Good. Give me 2 more like that. Well done. Good. 1 more now, 1 more. Push yourself in. Drive. Well done. Good. Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
Ooh. One more. Fuck me. So obviously with prep starting, we're not dropping, you know, my typical lifestyle. Like, we're still maintaining work, like, I can still get my clients in. Like, I want to maintain my typical lifestyle throughout this. I have a daughter as well who I don't want to neglect any time for me. So this prep's like, for me, it's really important to stay present, keep productive. I don't want to be sacrificing any aspects of my life, not at these early stages in particular, just for the prep. Obviously deep into prep, it may change, it's circumstantial, but my mindset going into this is to try and maintain what I'm doing, maintain routines as well, because like for me, like the routines is what keeps me locked in as well. So keeping working with clients, keeping on top of like home life, and still trying to grow and be productive in my business. I want to show it's possible. I believe I can do it, but in the end, we may drop off a touch because everything will be starting for the show and for prep. But right now, I want to keep that the same. There's a time and a place in prep where you do have to just hone in on the prep itself. But for me, that is at the end, in the 5-6 weeks out, that's probably where we start to just reduce a little bit of the energy elsewhere and put it there. But for now, everything needs to stay the same. I need it to stay the same for me to stay sane and stay locked in as well. So But yeah, I'm in a good place. So moving on to Smith machine barbell squat. So a movement, I think even for a beginner, is definitely not a bad choice. I do prefer to have my clients who are new to training learn how to squat like a barbell free weight and learn how to have the stability and mobility around that. But if you are on your own and you're not confident, it's certainly not a bad option because you keep fixing the machine. You've also got many safety points to keep racking it in. So for a beginner, definitely not a bad choice. And obviously it's a big compound, so you're still lifting like a barbell squat, just without the free rein and the movement. And you do not have to focus so much on the stability side because it's set up for you, but it can help you learn the movement patterns and get into the depth of the position and spend more time the whole of the movement, which is what a lot of people struggle with. When you see a lot of people squat, very, very shallow on a lot of people, they're not hitting the depth, so it is a very, very good tool to learn how to do that. But as I say, with a new client, I would generally have a free weight as the movement pattern and foundations to move into this, but certainly not a bad option to bring into your program if you're not confident to do it on your own or barbell squat. And the reason behind that as well, one of my new clients is to learn how to squat freely with free weights first, because if you start with this, you're never actually feeling the load of a free bar on your back, so that stability element, you can't transfer it from this to that as comfortably, whereas if you learn how to squat with a barbell, you can transfer it to this a lot more comfortably and a lot more seamlessly. So it makes sense to learn them foundations and basics first before moving to this. So when you're squatting, you sort of roll in a little tiny bit. You won't feel it because the rest of the movement looks fine. It's just mobility for your ankles, but it's just more mobility work rather than actual squat pattern work. I might do it slightly myself as well.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
Do I do it? Yeah, probably my left a little bit, yeah. Yeah, it's just a little rolling, but I wouldn't change the whole movement just because a slight ankle move, because everything else is really good. Obviously going into this prep as well, like, quite easy to look over people and see how they're doing. But for me, like, again, as I touched on earlier on, is mindset going in is so good. Like, I'm not thinking, who I might be up against, who's going to be entering what shows. Literally just about bringing the best package I have, because there's still things from other preps where conditioning wise I've not quite reached to what I want. So for me, there's no point in even thinking about what other people are doing, because I still have a target myself that I need to hit before I can think, right, I'm going to go and potentially win shows, I'll be competitive. I need to be doing that first. So it's been really good to have tunnel vision a little bit to a degree and switch the blinkers off and just focus on that alone. So yeah, like I say, headspace is really good. I've got my own personal goals that I want to achieve within this, regardless of the outcome of placings, and then hopefully we can go win some shows and get some good placings. But that's the sort of icing on the cake, if you like. It's about bringing a better version of me, and that's pure focus. So yeah, I feel really good going into it. And for anyone that is competing, new in particular as well, especially some of my clients who compete for the first time, I do the exact same thing. Try not to worry what other people are doing, because that external noise, regardless of what it is not going to change a damn thing about you or your prep. Only you can change your physique and your prep. So just focus on what you're doing, and there's no doubt if you put everything in, by the time you step off that stage and you put 100% in, you'll be proud of it no matter what, and you'll have delivered the best of what you can at that moment in time. So that'll be one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give anyone new to competing or who is going into a prep, thinking about a lot of what other people are doing too. Another thing to touch upon with my personal leg training, particularly quads, is that for a good 15-week spell through my off season, pretty much every couple of weeks I was pulling my quads. So obviously me and Tom have spoke with quad training. My quads are one of my strongest points, so I don't need to come in and push them to extreme failure, especially when it's under more load, because it was just setting me back more than moving forwards. But since we've done that, my legs will look better, feel fresher. Training's not being interfered with because it's been consistent. So for the past 9 weeks now, every session's been getting a little bit more intense. Added a few intensifiers so I can keep pushing the sets, but not push the workload on the quad itself and cause further injury. So that's where I've had to adapt it for my quads. But again, if it's my strongest body part or one of them, it doesn't need to be thrashed like maybe my delts or my arms might. So something that you, in particular, as an individual, could take into consideration, trying to keep that longevity in your training, because albeit you might be able to train everything else well, if you keep injuring the same muscle group over and over again, you need to look at what's going wrong and what can you do to continue training and keep progressing it without continuously set yourself back every sort of couple of weeks. As I said previously, going into after that last set, obviously it's a heavier load. I would not be pushing this to the point where I'm like grinding out. If I am, it wasn't intentional. But I'm just working to a position where it feels like it's a good stimulus, a good little bit of load, and that'll be me done on that. So it's just trying to leave a little bit in the tank, because once my quad starts to strain, that's it, session done. So I want to keep them feeling good throughout. So obviously that was heavier than the first working set. Reason being is the first working set, like I said, isn't working to our max. So for me, with like my big compounds like a squat or a hack squat, I'm building up to like a heavier load where knees are warm, quads are warm, they feel good. And for me, quads, I just work to a feel good range, but enough to make sure I'm stimulated and get a decent level of work through. Well, that's why typically everything else is a heavy set and a back off set. With these bigger compounds, I'm just hitting 2 sets to a ratio of what feels good or a rate of what feels good for me, and sort of finishing on that. So I will do a lighter set now compared to what I've done, but I just work up to where it feels good. So onto leg extensions next. Obviously something that is more isolating the quads, not a compound as such, not putting as much stress throughout the whole body, literally just isolating the quads. For me, I don't like to go too heavy on these. Again, I just like to do a manageable load where I can get a good volume, a good stimulus from it, and a good connection with, in this movement in particular. So you won't see me stacking this because you'll just feel it in my knees otherwise. Just going to do last feeler and then get into the working sets. So obviously this sort of lower to mid volume has probably been the best growth in your legs, hasn't it? Like I would probably say, yeah. So like I think with certain, I think like to be fair, with me, like with hamstrings in particular, like working in the shorter range of hamstrings, I get a lot more out of. Whereas my quads, I actually push to more volume. One, because of like the injury side of it, but two, I feel like they get a better reception from like a higher volume movement. So everyone's slightly different, but for me personally, a higher volume sort of style of training on my quads has always been beneficial. And like I say, for my hamstrings, it's always been like a lower rep range, and they do pump out very, very quick as well. But no, I think for you, since we've sort of, I think frequency and a moderate volume has been the best thing for you. Brilliant. Good. Let's say 1 or 2 more. Squeeze. Slow that squeeze up a little bit now, so just move it slower. Squeeze them quads. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. 1 more, last one. 1 more, 1 more. Brilliant. Well done. Nice. Good work. Well done. I think with like stuff like this, like you don't want a sudden shift in movement. So it's like you don't want to be like moving down. It's like bang straight out. You want to come down and then move like the same way you come out of it. So you're not changing tension too much. That's where like you irritate your knees a lot because it's just too much fast pace. So when you moan about your knees sometimes on the squat, if you are like coming down and it's maybe relatively steady or fast, it's that erratic bounce out or that erratic change in speed at different points of movement. Yeah, don't go too fast. Like you want to do it then, to be fair, but like when you come down, feel it, let it stretch, and then just drive slick like the same pace. Yeah. So I'm not thinking every time I'm coming down, it's like I'm firing it out. It's like I'm coming down, I'm nice controlled, I felt that load, and I'm just moving it out the same way it came in. So you're making your quads. Well, it's slightly different for everybody. Obviously, it's your full quads we're working, but you might get a bias towards your teardrops. Yeah, so if you bring the seat further back, when you're stretching, you stretch your quads further. Whereas if you're really short and compact, you don't really get much of a stretch on top. Also, you want to be able to fully lengthen it at the bottom of the movements, but keeping your hips down. Yeah. Yeah, you can get a seat. I mean, I'm not arse passive, but you could use it if you wanted to keep you pinned in, but as long as you're locked in and tight, you want to feel like your arse is sticking to that, because you're trying to pick the weight up by leveraging it through your quads, not just firing it through your knees, if that makes sense.
So what's also the goal on chest press
he will do that where he controls it down.
Yeah.
Pushes out. What I said to him was, the chest press feels good. When you are coming down here and you feel the chest press,
Yeah.
like, holy shit, this feels like euphoric. But on a leg press, it hurts.
See, I'm quite different. Like when I'm coming down, I don't like to move fast because I feel like I'm going to hurt myself. So I'm like control. I'm like, okay, that feels good, and now I move at a better pace. But like that first rep in particular, I'm like feeling my weight, seeing how it feels on my joints and my chest or whatever. Because for me, if I go too fast on the press, I think my pec's just going to ping off. Like I have to control it down, feel it, and I can drive out, and then I can keep locked in that movement once I've done the first rep. But yeah, I would say in bodybuilding, there's, unless you're doing a light or low, there's no real rapid change in motion. Like you want it to be a controlled exertion. Like in powerlifting, you're moving fast.
Like upper leg.
Yeah. Well, it's something that you've had to work on a lot harder, haven't you, with your legs? Obviously, since you stopped football, you've been able to do more of it as well. So it will come with time. Like your training age across your upper body is probably a lot more experienced than your lower body because you've had more frequent sessions on it. So it takes a little bit of time. But yeah, when I was younger, I used to stack this all the time and think it was great. But then my knees are fucked. So like I don't do that anymore because it's just a bad idea. And the thing is, you can choose to make it harder because you see I'm moving it and it looks like it's heavy, but I could move it quite easily. But I'm choosing to make it work harder, make my quads work harder and squeeze everything I can. And as soon as I slow that down, my quads are screaming at me.
I think is that I try and make the rep range that you've sent me, that's why I'm...
Yeah. But
I do it super slow, it gets about 6, 7 or 8.
But that range is a range, isn't it? It's like a guide to try and land between, to give you a bit of guidance as what to lift, but ultimately I want to be hitting muscular failure, not like mechanical failure. So not failing because you can't do the movement anymore, failing because that muscle can't do the movement anymore. Yeah. So like if you came 2 reps short of the range, if it was a high quality set and it's intense, that's fine, like for me. And then next time you try to get an extra couple of reps to get into that range. Once you're hitting that higher end of the range, you can then increase the weight, can't you? So the hardest guys, that's why you'll never see me put 1 set of 8. Because why do you have to stop at 8? You know, you're trying to achieve that muscular failure. You know you're bodybuilding right when you're in a set and everything in your body and your mind is telling you to just stop. That's when, for me, I feel like the real work happens. And you know you're pushing intensity when you start to achieve that. But the point of that is, don't just stop because you feel like you need to stop. Stop because you can't physically move it anymore. You can't physically move it for the muscle that you're trying to directly work as well. So for me, that is like the pinnacle of bodybuilding. A lot of people stop when it starts to hurt. Just trying to push through that a little bit more. And like I said to Saul, if he had a gun to his head, how many more reps could he get? That's true failure. So somewhere in and around that sort of range between where you think failure is and what that would be, that's where you want to be. And not only just when it starts to hurt, but trying to fight through them reps where it still hurts and try to get as many into that sort of range as possible once it starts to hurt. In the muscle, of course. Come on, squeeze. Good. One more. Take that full stretch all the way. Drive. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now we drive out of it. Good. Well done. Nice. Nice. Stay locked in. Pull yourself in. Come on. Nice. And again. Good. Awesome. Stay on it. Come on. Nice. Come on, so stay with it. Stay with it. Brilliant.
One more.
Nice. Well done. Good. So, onto a leg press. Well, squat press. I like this variation more than the typical leg press because it allows you to hit a lot more depth. It puts you in like a low squat position, so the stretch in your quads is far superior in my opinion to like a leg press, although I do still actually have a leg press program on my other session. But foot placement, so if it's more quad bias, which I am doing for this exercise, I keep my feet really low. I actually have the lip of my heel off the bottom of the plate, just to create as much flexion in my knee as possible, keeping my hips pushed down. Whereas you could bring your foot placement a bit higher, and I do with some of my clients in a bit of a higher position, which brings the hamstrings in, because it's almost like when you extend, it's like the bottom of an RDL, sorry, so you create that little bit of a hinge. But your foot placement is key because obviously a higher foot placement, less range, probably makes it a lot easier for you. So make sure if you are tightening quads, nice and low to create more flexion.
Nice. Good going, mate. Come on. Nice. Go. Go, 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 go.
I tell you what, the first day I did my cardio, I was on the treadmill. My fucking hell, my calves are killing me, stretching. I went to the bike, like fucking hell, my quads are pulling. Went on the cross train, I was like, I'm just fucked at this point. So my 35 minutes was split into 3 different movements. But second day I was alright after that. It was a sheer shock.
You'll be training better then?
Pardon?
How long do you reckon to be in training?
Being prep, what, for like the rest of my life?
At a certain age, don't you, where like everything's just fucking stop for it.
In terms of like trying to compete, I said to myself, if I'm not, I mean, one, I enjoy it anyway, so that might be the reason why I always compete, because I just enjoy competing. But in terms of like, if I'm not in the realms of thinking I could turn pro, by the time I'm 35, I'll probably pull the plug in it then and just train, because I enjoy training anyway, so like, I train because I like it and I enjoy it. I do it regardless of competing or not. Competing like a cherry on the cake, and I enjoy the process. But in terms of like having ambitions to try and push and push and push it, if I don't think I'm gonna, get the pro card or turn pro by the time I'm 35, I'll at that point I'll be quite happy to say, it's probably not gonna happen for me. But
what's your call it? Say if you do call it the next 6 years after, training wise, you're just gonna keep going up and down with your weight, but you can stay like just maintain it, just shred all year round, or just not as high.
I don't. If I was, in my opinion, right now, I'd probably still go through the process, because I still think I've got levels to take my physique. And that's why it coincides with the still competing. But maybe at that point, I might not be as aggressive with changes and try and maintain a better physique throughout the year, the composition. But basically, what I'm saying is, if I don't think I want to make it, I want to be pushing the PED side of it as much anymore because of that reason alone. The only reason I get pushed is because of that. So, yeah.
I think it's important to be realistic as well.
Yeah, like I said, I've got 6 years. 6 years until I'm 35. And if I get to like 33, 34, and it's like not even in striking distance, could be them, but...
What's the goal for them to show this year? Any of the shows? Top 3?
This year, like I was saying to Joe, I've got condition to achieve that I've not achieved yet. So if I achieve that, then I want to see how competitive I am. In my mind this year, I want to be trying to compete to win shows and compete to place well in the finals and bigger shows.
How many shows you got to hit?
Maybe 3 to 4 or 5 this year. But then if I did well this year, do another season, I'll be trying to go and win and go pro qualifiers and stuff like that.
Nice.
But I am realistic with my time frame. I'm not saying right pro this year, because it's not. I enjoy the process of just like doing it. So final exercise today, going into a standing calf raise. So me and Sol, more Sol, had a lot of calves in the high frequency across the week to bring them up. So with calves, generally it's programmed. I do mine 3 times a week. Sol's got them 4 times a week. And it's basically we do 3 or 4 sets, push them as hard as we can, but do it more frequently across the week rather than doing so much in one session where the recovery, they might not be able to recover as well. Whereas we do a little bit less volume but more frequency, there's better recovery. So hopefully more growth. So that is session done, full leg session with Sol. So like I said, this will mark literally the first week of prep. Look to update obviously as frequently as you can. So hopefully you enjoy that. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for a little bit more. Oh, is that all right?